Hey Jem, I just had this insight that we have been conditioned by the world system to be whores in a way we're not supposed to be whores. I'm just gonna say it how it dropped to me. What do I mean by this? So, if you review the feminine, review how one of the key things the whole feminine does, the whole feminine selects what is most aligned, most suitable for it as a resource and then consumes it. After this consummation, there's a process. I list it in my upcoming book, but the final stage of this process is what I like to call amplify, right? So we'll see historically, and you see the role of women as being who are literally the physical embodiment of God on this plane, and the process, one of the processes that form a major part of our identity, which is creation. So creativity, creation, whatnot, which involves a plethora of modalities from destruction to alchemy to amplification to, yeah, again, the process of like creating something from almost nothing just because, you know, and the word was life, the word was good, and so the word becomes life, and life is here, something like that. So sexual interactions, sexual intimacy, sex itself is like the physical, will I say physical depiction of this energetic process I'm trying to describe. But sex is not just about, obviously, for procreation. There's the exchange of energy and information, and creating connections, creating bonds, etc., etc. And we can lean and go on about soul ties and harvesting of energy through sex, but we're not getting into all of that. This is not this is not that audio, but I wanted to say that based on socialization over underworld systems like patriarchy, where there is a need to monopolize the feminine, which is the life well of creativity and life force. There's a need to monopolize it, which has led to, of course, the dehumanization and the subjugation of women as a social class. I'm not going to go into all of that. Like, I'm not going to go into feminist philosophy and psychology, and also like psychology. But I will say that the slut shaming, the rape culture, all of these tools that are used to enforce sexual monopoly over women's sexuality or sexual expression is actually a means of grooming women to then be whores in another way. Whores in the sense that it grooms and normalizes the free access to women's creativity in even more potent, powerful ways. What I mean by that is, it is so normal. A classic example is emotional labor of women. Anybody who has studied energetics, anybody who studies spirituality, whatever school, whatever medium, whatever culture, whatever it is, at the crux of it, we know that emotion serves as the amplifier for creative force, for vibrations, for frequency, whatever. And so you want to manifest anything, emotions form an important equation. So to place women in a place culturally where we are now thrust as the people who carry out numerous invisible or unrewarded, unreciprocated, unappreciated, almost times even coerced and even blackmailed into performing emotional labor, not just for, oftentimes not even for ourselves, because the system doesn't want you to be aware or to process or manage yourself well enough that you no longer become a resource. You've been objectified and dehumanized into that can be exploited. So it's for other people, which to me is like, that is such a vital component of creativity. So one is forced to hoard out. in exchange for like basic human decency, companionship, financial stability, etc., etc. And that's just one aspect. There's so many other things. Women, how in the workforce, a lot of women have this a plethora of creative ideas, and now these are like siphoned or poached or outright even stolen by people who do not give credit to said women, but is put in the light of the whole team, etc., etc., by whoever is in management or leadership, and that exploitative cycle continues. Sometimes the woman might not even be in the workplace; it could be a spouse of, the person in power. Oftentimes, men. So we see how women are actually were groomed to be whores of what is even really, really more vital part of our creative force, our creative tools, our creative energy, essence, process, whatever. And this is acceptable because, again, monopoly over the bloodline through slut shaming and through plethora of tools, rape culture, religion, whatever it is. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's a reason why those who, if you are someone who is called to a goddess purpose and you're researching like goddesses and you go down that rabbit hole, or even just like certain high well, I don't want to use the word high ranking, but like high profile feminine, like either deities or beings or whatever, whether they're angels falling or of light, or whatever it is, guide your own lineage and female ancestors. The ladies who really stayed in their purpose, shifted timelines, healed generations, made impact, were horse, in that they had monopoly control over every aspect of their creative process and force, including how they had sex, because sex, again, like I said, is simply just, it's an experience that serves as somewhat as a spiritual tool for you to extract certain things or create bonds. This is the only way I can explain what I'm trying to say. It's an insight, it's probably ahead of its time, but I think in this wisdom and industrialized skill set era, we are seeing where I mean, based off coming from an era where we've seen the impact of women's influence through the concept of influencing marketing, or influencer marketing, and also like the whole concept of streaming platforms being able to hold people's attention, which is also another modality of like women's creative force, and why beauty becomes actually a military weapon, and also at the same time an energetic frequency. So I'm going to stop this ideation at this point. What I'm trying to say to you, the lesson to take out of this is, are you using every aspect of your creativity and your life force for not only your benefit, but for your purpose and for your community? Are you in enjoyable exchanges that are reciprocal in a healthy way, not in a forced hyper transactional way? We need to understand that. All right, gems, thanks for listening. Bye.